Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the award-winning Midnight Blue and Gold Launchpad podcast, where we talk nothing but Toledo Rocket sports. I'm Rocket Ryan Brandt.
I am PJ Spiller, a.k.a. Pat Gillick.
I'm Dan Sad Rocket Man Savage.
And I'm Kyle W.
That's Kyle W. Smith, engineer, producer extraordinaire to you and me. And guys, I really thought for the first time since I was 13 years old, that would be 1980, that the Rockets would be in the NCAA tournament. But that shot from 27 feet away did us in. And it's one of those games, and we're going to get to that in a bit, but it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think we were watching it, and it was just crushing. That crazy shot, and then we get the ball back down court and get off a wild shot by Parks that almost had a chance, but like you said, we'll get into it a little bit more, but after the game, TK, Todd Kwalchek, said this loss will haunt him forever.
Yeah, I think the nickname is the Scott heard around the world. The Scott shot heard around the world.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Being in the building, just nothing but being stunned.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't even, there's no emotions. You wanted to cry, but you couldn't. Because we're so used to it.
Right.
But we'll talk about men's basketball here in a little bit. That one did hurt a little bit more. It felt like it was in our grasp, but that's all right. On a more positive note for the women, guys, we were the 6th seed and we made the championship game. How about that?
What a great coaching job by Ginny Bogus. I mean, getting by UMass, and I tell you what, when Ball State got up to that 16-0 lead, I'm thinking, okay, game's over. But boy, the ladies really fought back in that second half and made a game of it. Nothing to hang their heads about. It was just, Ball State's a good team. And I'm sorry,
it's Miami. Yeah. Yeah, we took care of business against Ball State.
Right.
Yeah.
Miami. I'm sorry. I'm getting the colors all mixed up here because I was listening on the radio and they don't show colors. I just know they're both red.
They each have big red bird mascots. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Easy to mistake.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were. Go ahead, Danny. Oh, no, I think they were clawing and scratching. They got down a little bit in the Ball State game and fought back and pretty much, took care of business. And after the game, I messaged Ginny and said, one more to go. And they were playing with house money. Nobody expected them to be there. They thought they were going to get bounced in the first round if they even made it to the tournament. So I think it was a testament to the will of the players that she had available, and the coaching job that the whole staff did was incredible. Just to, substitute in and out. And then against, like you said, against Miami, being down 16, you thought, man, this is not going well. But again, fighting, clawing their way back in. And it just shows you what kind of attitude that Ginny and the coaching staff portrays to the whole team when you had players in, like Vanden Bosch and Alicia Dykstra, that don't get a lot of playing time and actually were called upon to put a lot of time in and do some things, that they weren't expected to do most of the season.
Yeah, and big shout out to Pat stepping up and being the leader we needed. I mean, she absolutely balled all 3 days, so
incredible.
Couldn't ask much more from her.
And I think if Toledo would have won, Pat would have been the MVP of the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was an all-star every game.
Gonna miss her next year.
You think?
Yeah, I think the problem with house money is the team we were playing in the championship already had a down payment. That's the way how that game felt.
Right.
Slow start just from the beginning. Each team turned it over and it just started off sloppy. But those guards for Miami, they're incredibly efficient, and we needed to have a day like we had against Ball State. I thought defensively against Ball State, we hadn't played a better game all year. I mean, we played also really well against UMass. I thought in each game that the crowd that showed up for Toledo was terrific, and they gave us the edge we needed. Sadly, Miami still had a few folks that didn't get rid of their hotel reservations, and they almost had as many fans there as we did. So good for Miami. I hope that they continue to build on this. And every Miami fan that we saw, we just said, like, hey, you guys need to show up and support your guys' team during your regular season because you guys got a hell of a program.
Yeah.
I really like Miami's coach. I think he's one of the not jackholes we have coaching against us. We're not very big fans of Brady Saleh on this podcast, I can imagine.
No.
But
Yeah.
Miami's coach is really seems like a nice guy. He's not like annoying. He doesn't berate the officials. And Miami, just hats off. You got up 16-0 and kind of held on. We didn't really get it to closer than 5 in that championship game. But P, I mean, what can we say? Just she didn't want her season to end, and she put it all on the line, even if she didn't have the 1s and 2s with her that she maybe thought she was going to have when she signed up to be a Rocket in the fall.
I mean, overall, I think I was really proud and excited that Toledo was in the championship game for both teams. Just a huge rep for the university, but I saw the score for the Miami-Ohio game, and Miami won by 30, and I didn't have high hopes going into the championship, hoping they would pull something off, but Miami is a great team this year, very deserving.
I think they were up 24-4 in the beginning, and it didn't look promising at all, but you sit down, you readjust and make changes, and it worked. Go ahead, Ryan.
I'm sorry. Yeah, what a time to be a Miami Red Hawk fan. I mean, that football team, MAC championship, basketball, great season, men's basketball, women win, and hockey's finally turned it around. I think they won 3 games last year. Now they're above 500 this year. And I've always said this about Miami fans. When I was in Dayton covering the Ben Roethlisberger-led Red Hawks, they sold out every game that year. 10 years later, they can't get anybody into the stadium. That game we went to back in 23.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, big
so
game on the line.
I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Well, the vuvuzelas woke you up, I'm sure.
Yeah, they did.
But the fact that it wasn't sold out, I think there's 17,000 there, which for them is great. I mean, they're just a bandwagon type of sports fan base, and I really, they're one of my least favorites, but good for them. I mean, I was glad to see Millett Hall packed this year for the first time in that library, as we like to call it.
A full library.
Yeah. But anyway, what a time to be a Miami Red Hawk.
Dan, isn't this the first time that Miami's been in the NCAA in quite a while?
Yeah, I think so.
Since 99, or the men or the women?
Women.
Yeah. It's been about, 20 years?
Yeah, it's been a while.
I think
they're not generally known as they're not known as a power in the women's side, but they're a senior laden team, and they were pretty good last year. They snuck up. They started to compete with the top. We had a ton of graduating girls in the MAC this year. I think the MAC was a little bit down just because of how young the league was, but they only had 5 or 6 losses in the entire year. And that earned them a 13 seed in the NCAA tournament where they get to be big underdogs against the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Was it 24 points?
A lot, yeah. That's what it opened at. That's crazy.
I thought I saw that, yeah.
Yeah,
I put some money on the Red Hawks to cover.
The last time Miami women were in the NCAA tournament was 2008, so I was 2 years off. But so they've only made 2 appearances, 2008 and this year. So interesting.
We talked a little bit about P. She was on the all-tournament team. I think if you score 29 points in a semifinal game and you get your team to the championship, you definitely deserve that. Yeah. And our last podcast came out before the All MAC selections came out. Her and Kendall Carruthers were on the third team, and Faith Fed Robinson was honorable mention. I didn't really have too many gripes with that. I think Faith was docked because she missed 5 or 6 games at the end of the year. But other than that, I thought maybe she could have been on the all defensive team. She sticked every other point guard as good as she possibly could. And not only are we gonna miss a leader and a girl that put her heart out next year, we're gonna miss her defensive efforts guarding a ball handler, and we're gonna have to figure out which ball handler we're gonna have. Because I'll tell you what, with Kendall Braden leaving the program and Destiny Robinson getting injured, that was a point of contention for this year's team. We turned it over 27 times against Miami the first time we played them. I don't know how many we had this weekend. It felt like it was more than 20. We really struggled, and teams figured out that if they press us, we're going to eat up a good 10 and 15 seconds of that shot clock just setting our offense up, just getting over half court. So
I think a lot of those turnovers weren't even in the point guard position. You had Ella Weaver, who had quite a few turnovers in that championship and the semifinal game. And I think it was pretty well dispersed, but you're right. It is going to be a challenge to see who the ball handler is next year.
Yeah, did you guys see that Ball State's women did not make the WBIT?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jenny tweeted about that, or posted, whatever you want to call it.
I don't understand.
I think they turned them down because
they turned down the WNIT.
Yeah, okay. I knew they turned down something. Was it the WNIT because you had to pay
they
so
turned
much
that
money?
down, and according to Ginny's post, all their metrics were well above the line to be invited by the WBIT. They just got smacked in the face. I think that's, again, going back, the MAC doesn't get enough respect from a lot of the tournaments.
Right.
Yeah, I saw Ohio accepted their invite to the WNIT, which makes sense. They were, a 20-win team. They were decent. They fall in that category, the next 64 teams that aren't in the next 32. So I thought even, we had a shot at the WBIT just by making the finals. But, we really played a lot of girls at the end of the season, like you mentioned, Pat, like Vandenbosch, who got a lot of valuable minutes. It would have been fun to see this team play 1 or 2 more games just to keep those young bodies in and get more and more experience. If we keep the core together, I still think I'm going to like what we have coming into next season. But we got a lot of time before that. There's going to be exits and entries from everywhere. So, Coach Boggess, get on it. This is a
Who knows? She may be able to find a nice ball handler in the portal.
Who knows?
So I think my only contention is with the all MAC teams. I thought P should have been on the all defensive team, or could have been, and I thought Faith Fed Robinson being honorable mention. I know you said she got docked for missing those 5 or 6 games, but look at her body of work all season. She could have been third team, or possibly second.
There was the MAC all tournament teams, or not all tournament, just all MAC selections. They really don't pay attention to rebounding much. There was a few snubs around the league for the men and women where they just knocked guys that were in the top 5 or 8 in the league in rebounding, and that's a huge part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And this team was a very good rebounding team until we had the 2 concussions and Faith get injured. So, I don't know. I'm not sure that rebounding was the reason we lost at the end of it, but still very proud of this team. If there's any naysayers about Coach Boggess, you can shut it. She's been to the championship game the first 2 seasons, and this year with a lot tougher of a challenge. So good year for the ladies. Excited to see what they bring in 2026, 2027.
And I'm just going to throw this out there. There has been some talk. There's been some lists made for coaching vacancies at Penn State as well as Syracuse. And I believe, one more position where Ginny's name has been brought up because she has ties to Penn State, because she has ties with some of the Syracuse people. And
Brian Blair.
I didn't lend him much credence just because I think she's in a good position now and she's happy here. She's got her family here. Her dad's moved up here. And I think she's found a situation, hopefully, where she thinks she can build a nice career.
She's said in the past that she expects to be here for the next 10 years. So yeah. I believe her. I think she wants to get to the tournament, maybe win a game or two before she takes her talents elsewhere. She's still young. So I think at some point she probably will, launch her career to a Big Ten school or something like that. But I also think Brian Blair's a pretty good guy. I don't think he would take her after just 2 years. Yeah, he's a good enough evaluator of talent where I think he can find someone if there is a vacancy for a Syracuse head coaching job.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, I was in Cleveland for the games, and they do the pep rally at the Harry Buffalo for these about 2 hours prior to tip. And they usually have a couple of speeches. They had the president, speak between the band playing and the alumni director of the Alumni Association. And one of the girls, I think she's the Alumni Association director. Her name is Riley. She didn't have too much to say. But on Friday, when she spoke, she said, we are the only school to have 2 teams in the semifinals. And I thought that was, very cool. The next day, she said the exact same thing. We are the only team to have 2 schools in the finals. And we thought that maybe, just maybe, we could get 2 teams in the NCAA tournament. It did not happen. Slightly less heartbroken for the women, as they had to climb a little bit higher to get there. But the men, they beat their rival by 1 point. Now, a game that we probably should have won by about 10. And then we get a little help on our side of the bracket. The number 1 overall seed, Miami Redhawks, go down, and we get UMass, who looked like they let it all out against Miami. I mean, they didn't even try to go into their post. Betty All, who had 25 against Miami, didn't really do much against us at all. And then we get to play the home team, the Akron Zips, and we are leading by 12 freaking points at halftime. I was in the bathroom asking Akron fans, I said, we will trade you 2 football championships for this. Like, what will it take? And they didn't want to trade. They are firmly a basketball school, even though most of the people in the arena saw their first game of the year or first games of the year this season. Right. There at Rocket Arena. From the TV perspective, like, what did you guys notice about the whole tournament or the championship? Like, did it feel big time?
I thought it was comical they had to pause the championship game because of the confetti falling and everything.
Yeah, other than that, it was big time until that point. But
I thought announcing was actually pretty solid. I mean, I didn't really have too many gripes. Seemed like, they gave some favorable stats and info on both teams every game, and pretty neutral.
I'll tell you about Mark Adams. He's a guy that I know from Dayton. He was a longtime announcer down there. Always did the post-game show over at Flanagan's, I think it was, over by UD Arena. He would always do the post-game show, have a bunch of drunks come on and ask, talk about the game and stuff like that. But he was on Calvin Sampson's staff out at Idaho State, I want to say, back when Calvin Sampson was first getting going as a coach. And he really does his homework. He's a heck of a nice guy. And but yeah, I thought he did a great job in calling the game. And it seemed to, like you said, Kyle, seemed to go back and forth. You could tell he was neutral.
Right. It was kind of interesting for me to see Michael Ray guy doing the early games, and some chatter going back and forth about who is this guy doing the games, and I'm like, oh, Michael Ray guy, he's an Akron grad, He's been doing the MAC forever.
Akron grad.
Yeah, I know. Somebody didn't know what they were talking about. But then the other guy said, he's mispronouncing names. He's calling people the wrong names. And we're like, that's Ray guy. It's what he does. Just get used to it. But I thought he did a great job, and I thought Adams did a great job as well. But Dan, more to your question about whether it looked big time, I thought it did look big time. There was a great crowd there. I flipped over to the Horizon League Championship, which is a comparable tournament in our world of basketball as far as size and teams. And they couldn't even fill the lower bowl. They couldn't even fill half the lower bowl for their championship game. I mean, granted, you had Dayton there, which should
Wright State.
Yeah, you had Wright State there, which should have brought a lot of people in, but it was. Believe me when I say it looked big time at Rocket Arena.
Yeah, it really felt like it. I think that the semis game was interesting because they sell one ticket fits all for 2 games, and each team gets a corner. And for the UMass Toledo game, they were each in the corner that wasn't on camera, so that Akron and Kent could each have fans behind their bench for the later game. So it didn't feel that big on Friday, but about halftime, all the Akron and Kent fans started filling in, and by the end of that game, it was pretty packed in there. I didn't even stay for the Akron and Kent game. I didn't care. We went back and watched it on TV, and Akron, god damn, that's a good team.
Yeah.
Got to the finals. It was 90-10 Akron fans, and we had a section behind our bench, and other than that, it was pretty scattered. I wonder what it'll take for our fan base to end up traveling there. But until Akron and Kent have some kind of deplorable season or sender off and gross leave, it's going to be really hard for any team. I don't care if you're undefeated to go and win in that freaking arena, because you know that the axe is on your back. Toledo did an amazing job against Akron, I thought, at fending off runs in the first half. Mm-hmm. Akron would get it to 6-7 points, and Toledo would push it back over 12. I thought we did a really good job. I didn't know if this team had it in them because we hadn't played in many environments like that. But then I was in the bathroom a little bit too long after halftime, and man, it got close quick.
It did.
Yeah, it seemed like Akron started switching up their defensive schemes, and it was just kind of random throwing off Toledo. They'd go from a 1-3-1 back to man, and a lot of the inbound plays and design plays that Kowalczyk had drawn up, some of them just weren't designed for the defense that they ended up coming out to. So it just seemed like they had the right timing in the second half to kind of slow Toledo down a little bit.
And I thought the same thing, Kyle, when they switched to that switching zone demand from the 1-3-1, we didn't have an answer for it. And which is kind of ironic because that's the same thing TK has done in the past, gone from a man to a 1-3-1. And you'd think you'd have the answer for that, but we just couldn't come up with it. One thing I do want to mention back about how the game looked on TV, in the semifinals, there was Ohio U fans right behind Toledo's bench, and they were chirping in TK's ear the entire time. In fact, they had the MAC had to come out and tell Ohio U, you're not allowed to talk to the coaches during the game. And they kind of restricted that. And then for the finals, those guys were not even there.
Interesting.
So there was quite a bit of chatter going on, let's say, from these Ohio U guys. But, that's part of the game. And, I mean, if you got those seats, take advantage of it. Because I know if I was in those seats and I had a couple beers in me.
Oh, my gosh.
And it was BG or if it was somebody else, I'd be on them just as hard.
Oh
No,
yeah.
just being an Akron fan though, it's essentially a hometown game, hometown kid, and Scott hits the game winner. Like
Yeah.
so you come back from down 12. Like if you're an Akron fan, that's a good ass time.
Heck
Oh
yeah.
hell yeah.
Now, one thing
We
I need to, I don't know if you guys saw that clown sitting there behind the announcers with an Ohio State sweatshirt and an Ohio State cap. If you're the
yeah.
MAC, you give him a Toledo or an Akron shirt because that does not look good. If you're in
Well,
the, first of all, we already have an inferiority complex.
and
Second of all, it just, it's not a good look. That's all there is to it, in my opinion.
Dan, wasn't it true that during the game they were showing people with Michigan shirts on and then Ohio State shirts on, and people were cheering and booing?
Yeah, that was during the UMass game,
yeah,
and I was freaking heated.
yeah,
The whole place would erupt. So the Ohio State and then the Michigan guy, they'd boo. It's just like, we are literally the tournament game. This is the
yeah,
tournament for another league. Like, I don't care. This is a Cavs arena. They probably have like preset crap for the scoreboards. So when they do that, it's like they would play the Ohio State fight song or something for the Cavs or whatever. But like, absolutely, they cannot do that anymore. I hope
yeah.
that they get a lot of like stern letters because that shit's embarrassing. Like, I know national writers that were at the game. They cover the entire sport,
And they're
and
like, what the hell?
luckily, I haven't heard them mention it. And they've actually talked up the MAC a lot just to see that there was 14,000 people at the MAC championship game. It felt like it felt like an NBA game. But still, that was a bad look for someone like me that also pretty much doesn't like the Big Ten very much either.
Right. No doubt about
They
it.
should have been showing, MAC teams, somebody with a Miami shirt on versus somebody with an Ohio shirt on, or a UMass or a UT, or BG, and
You don't need to see BG.
well, well, you got to have somebody to boot for.
Right.
I guess.
No, I want to give a shout out to the reason that game was close. We shot absolutely unconscious in the first half. We looked like we had been playing in that arena for 3 straight weeks. Sean Craig played freaking lights out. I don't know how he wasn't on the all tournament team.
Right.
And then Austin Parks did such a good job down low against 2 of the better bigs in the league at Akron. At the end of the game, we kind of fumbled the ball to him, and for him to have just the wherewithal to turn around and grab it and throw up a shot that almost went in.
Yeah, went off back iron.
Austin Parks, if we can keep him, he's going to be the best center in the MAC next year. He grew so much from the first time we saw him. He understands the game. He can be a really good dunker. He's actually a 6'10". He's like a legitimate center that we've been lacking here.
And he takes his space.
Yeah, really. And Luke Knapke was still a 3-point shooter. He was more of a finesse kind of NBA style center. I just love this team, and I can tell that it seems like we love each other. I wouldn't be surprised if this team really kept a core more than any Todd's team has. I mean, they sniffed it. Briggs wrote in the Blade that Blyden says he's coming back.
Right.
Take that with a grain of salt until someone waves a check in front of your face, but holy crap, what a fun time.
After that article was published, Blyden did come out and say, I expect my friends will be back as well. And then it came out that Sonny, Blyden, Parks, and Strong will all be back. Now, whether or not that's true, again, they haven't seen the big money waved in their faces.
So there's a lot of time before next season kick off.
But just hearing that they have that attitude going into the off season is pretty nice to hear. And I know, we all know Kyle loves the hog mollies, and for Parks to be back, that's why Kyle's grinning right now.
That's right. Yeah.
If this team does keep its core together, I think we should see 2,000 students at every basketball game next year. I think this team really embraced the student section. They went to thank them after every single game. You could tell that like we're starting to become a basketball school. We won it for 4 straight years, and we didn't feel like a basketball school. Being in that championship game, being right there, it just feels like we are this close now. Now we lost 8 one-possession games this year, so you flip those, and next year we are 25-4 or whatever, depending on how we schedule our non-con, and we're going to be right there.
Well, have you?
I think next year's the year.
I think that's what was so heartbreaking with the way they lost, just because like lose the championship by 1 possession. It's like, right, okay,
their destiny.
At least it was on that shot. It wasn't like bad defense. It was just like
I agree.
They call it timeout.
Yeah, they had it in his face and everything.
Yeah, it was good defense. It's a great fucking shot.
It was like a 30-footer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it felt like it was from half court.
But I don't know if any of you guys seen Kowalczyk's interview since the game was over. Not his post game, but he was interviewed, and I cannot remember the source, but he said this year's team is so special. They are much more congruent. They're much more of a team. He goes, and he admitted last year was a mistake. Last year we had people that were just out there playing for themselves. They were just, not cohesive at all. And this year, these guys are playing for each other. They're playing for their city. They're playing for their university. So something's changed, from year to year, which is nice to see.
Right.
Well, if you guys are looking at selfish guys playing from themselves, there's a guy playing for Virginia by the name of Sam Lewis, who's now a starter on their team and averaging about 14 a game. He's making $1 million, and his team's a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. So there's a right path for different guys. I think we could tell last year too that Sam was pretty talented over the rest of the MAC, but if you don't gel with your team, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. And now Akron's a team that's won 18 games in a row, and they're heading into the NCAA tournament, and they draw a Texas Tech team without JT Toppin, who's one of the best players in the country. So I know Akron's maybe a 7 or 8 point dog. I've got Akron going to the Sweet 16 in my bracket.
I do too.
I really like that team. I thought that their fans were very nice, but Akron didn't look like one of those teams that had a bunch of street ballers that were cocky. Gross is an awesome coach. This is their 3rd MAC championship in a row. They know how to play together, and they're talented. They put it in themselves. If you really like to watch good basketball, Akron would be an awesome team to watch because that's a really good basketball team at the MAC.
Well, it's interesting. We were kind of talking about Miami of Ohio and where they got seeded and everything, and I don't think it's fair. I think they should have just got a straight seed instead of the first 4. But I did see a metric today where a lot of higher programs with big NIL budgets have a benchmark of at least $10 million in their head to make the Sweet 16.
Wow.
That's wild.
Well, then we're not going to be in the Sweet 16, boys.
Not saying something crazy can happen because it's March Madness, but that's kind of what the big programs are shooting for as a benchmark right now, according to a few sources I saw on Twitter.
I do see a larger program coming after Gross sometime soon.
Well, he was at Illinois for a while. He was at Ohio and won a few games, over a decade ago. So he's got a good pedigree. But his brother-in-law, Coach Steele at Miami, he's pretty good too. And he's been asking for more NIL from their donors there in Oxford. I think next year, if these coaches stay, the MAC's going to be might just be a legit 2-bid league and not a team that has to go undefeated to do it. The UMass, Coach Frank Martin's making millions of dollars, where everybody else is in the hundreds of thousands in the MAC. So
and Miami's pumping a lot of money into their NIL.
Yeah,
their football was up to they said $8 million.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that the snub from some of the reports from possibly the committee, but a lot of talking heads, basically just bashing Miami, Ohio based on strength of schedule, results in a change on how the MAC actually schedules their out of conference moving forward.
I would think Dr. John Steinbrecher, worthless commissioner that he is, would probably try to get a mandate going that you can't be playing, NAIA Division II schools, more than one.
Damn, there goes
in a
Siena
year.
Heights.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to be a school anymore.
Right.
So,
They're going the way of Lords.
I think that would be a good mandate. I think the Sun Belt Challenge is a really good way to get, pair the top teams and get, a couple, usually top 200 net games together. But for a team like Akron, if they had beaten Troy, they might have been an at-large alone. And they lost that second Sun Belt Challenge. So it may have hurt them. We can't forget that next year the MAC's going to a full round robin schedule, a 22-game conference, and that eats up 3 non-conference games where you potentially would have had to play an NAIA school. So just by playing ourselves, and if ourselves are better, we're going to be better across the board. But Frank Martin, the UMass coach, there was an interview that popped up this week. I'm not sure if it happened this week or not. He said when he was at South Carolina and he went to the Final Four, they were the 6th team in the SEC, and no other teams got in. And the reason for that is that they used the RPI as their scheduling metric, and the RPI really had a unbalanced favoring for mid-majors. So mid-majors were stealing bids from 18 and 13 SEC and Big Ten teams.
Well, that's when
they went to the net. Yeah, they went to the net, and the net starts you at an arbitrary ranking of sub 150 or whatever. You're never going to get in the top 50 of the net when you start 200, and it doesn't fade away. Like in college football metrics, like the Massey and stuff, like the Sagarin. When until it's well connected, your preseason metric is a part of your ranking. Then once enough teams have played each other, then that part falls off, and then you actually have a true ranking. Well, the net doesn't do that. You still are stuck with whatever you started with, and you have to climb. So Frank Martin, a guy that's been at the Power 4 level, now sticking up for his mid-major team. And, I'm not sure the net really played that big of a role in the selection. I think that the committee got all 68 teams right this year. But it does kind of suck that Miami got stuck in the first 4. But I think it really sucks for SMU, who's got to go to Dayton now and play a team that's going to have 12,000 fans behind them in a first 4 game. And then Miami gets to play another game when they're already loose and they're actually in the field of 64. So
VCU started back in when they made their Final Four run. Was that in 2011? They started in Dayton in the first 4. It was an 11 seed and made it all the way to the Final Four. So you get hot at the right time, and you never know what's going to happen.
It makes me wonder if the committee, that was their justification for putting them in the first 4. Oh, we'll give them a semi-home game, and that's your reward for your undefeated season, instead of putting them in at a higher seed.
I mean, I don't see that as a reward at all. I mean, I get the home.
No, but I'm just saying
feel, but you're in a single elimination March Madness. I want to play as few games as possible.
I don't know. It's kind of weird. I've never been a fan of there being play-ins for the 16 seeds.
Yeah.
Because after all, these teams won their freaking leagues, and they're still playing in to get in the field.
Right.
Like, you want to give an advantage to the 1s and the 2s. We'll give the advantage to a couple more 2 seeds that get to play what are generally considered 16 seeds. Like, and then get rid of more bubble teams that have proven that they've lost 14 games over the regular season. Like, I don't really care about Auburn and Texas, these teams that have had the chance. Like, oh, well, your league's strong. Well, don't play in an 18-team Super League then. That's your fault. Like, I don't want to see you go on a run. I know NC State did it a couple years ago, but they did it after they won the ACC tournament.
Right.
So they got in the right way. Got in as a 10 or 11 seed, not at large, and then went all the way to the Final Four. That was a fun team to watch.
My heart and Auburn didn't make it. My heart is broken.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
My opinion, if you can't finish above 500 in your conference, I don't care how tough it is. You don't deserve an at-large. I mean, you had a shitty season.
Yeah.
No. And that's why there's a conference tournament, because if you get a player that's hurt or something and comes back late in the year and your team, changes, then you still got a chance to do it. It's a tough road, but it's the road. It just happens.
Right.
The fact that Miami could have lost one more game and not been in the tournament is absolutely asinine. If you ask me, there should be a thing that goes in the tournament bylaws that say if you win over 28 Division I games, you're automatically in. And I think Miami of Ohio actually landed on 27 because of their non-conference games that weren't Division I. But there has to be something in there where it's like, dude, you've won so many games. Like, give them a bid. I don't care who you played.
Right.
But as far as being excited for next season, and once again, slightly sad at the way that how this one ended, do you guys have anything else to add here to kind of wrap up basketball season before we're on to baseball and softball only podcast for the next month before the draft here?
In track and field. Well,
spring football too. Don't forget that.
Yeah. I'm going to reach out and try and get a hold of MJ and see if he can come on before the spring game and give us his overall perception of the program and his direction. And we're going to reach out and try and make that happen. But as far as basketball goes, I think we wrapped it up pretty well.
Yeah, before, this is going to come out a week from today, maybe. So, do you guys have any championship picks?
I put 4 entries into our bracket challenge, and I've got Houston winning 2 of them. I've got Michigan winning 2 of them.
Okay.
Michigan has a hard road to the championship.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
I think Arizona, first time since 1997. I think they're due.
Arizona's a good team. They've got a ton of quad 1 wins. Playing the Big 12, which I think is a style of basketball that yields well for the tournament. Like, you got to play Houston and Kansas, and I think Arizona's a good pick. I like Florida. I know that they bowed out in the SEC tournament to Vanderbilt, but I think sometimes the team needs to take a loss. So I think that Florida goes back to back and they get it done and maybe knock off Michigan in the championship game.
Kyle?
Miami of Ohio.
Oh.
I saw Andy Katz had Akron in the Final Four, so you're not too far off.
Okay.
Damn.
Nice.
I actually have to do all my brackets after this episode before midnight here, but I'm sure I'm just going to pick, like I usually do, like 6 brackets, so I'm just going to pick a few favorites and maybe
team with orange,
a dark horse. Yeah.
Don't pick Alabama. Their number 1 player just got caught with 2 pounds of weed.
I did see that.
Felony possession, not just a little joint here or there. He wasn't kidding. He wasn't messing around.
They're Akron's next game up. So maybe Hofstra can get Alabama, or Alabama's going to play with a man down. That's why I really like Akron's pass to the Sweet 16.
Nice. Yeah, I've got Akron doing a little damage as well. So, should I put a midnight blue and gold bow on this bitch?
I think you should.
I think I will.
Go ahead and do it, Pat.
I'm going to go ahead and tie it up.
On behalf of the vacationing Nate Kresge and our engineer-producer extraordinaire, Kyle W. Smith, I am Rocket Ryan Brandt.
I am PJ Spiller.
I'm Dan Rocket Man Savage.
No longer sad.
That's right. We cheered him up.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for just being with us. Have a great night, everybody. Go Rockets. TOL.
EDO.
EDO.